One of the things that Patrick is, Dan's done it quite a bit too, but Patrick's really been focused on kind of the idea around our NIST framework and CMMC kill chain and like processes and tools used to mitigate risk when it comes to security, right? So, Patrick, like there are some tools out there, there are some systems that have been developed at the enterprise level that have kind of moved downstream.
Definitely. Yeah. So PKE meter was the
there you go.
So really when you're looking out for activity, it's a multi-pronged effort, right? Not only do your users need to be hyper aware of being careful and looking out for the paranormal activity, but you definitely need to have tools and technology in place that is also monitoring your environment, right? The technology is always changing. It's always getting better because, frankly, the threats are always changing, right? And so having next gen security tools and tools that are continuing to improve to monitor and detect this type of stuff in your environment is critical to putting a stop at it, right? So if we bring the analogy back to your hotel, we want to make the environment inhospitable to these ghosts that they don't want to be there or they don't even get there, right? So if you have these tools in place, if you have software and technology and security tools that are always scanning and preventing this stuff from happening, it's going to make your quote hotel inhospitable so that the ghosts move on to the next person, right? If the next person has weaker tools and weaker security, they're easier to haunt. You don't want that in your hotel. You don't want that in your business. You want to have the tools and the technology and the people aware of what's going on, that it prevents these sort of threats and these hauntings from happening in your business.
Yeah, I think an interesting thing you just said is someone's going to want to attack the easiest target. It's going to be the easiest to attack, right? The softest target. Well, oftentimes what we see is small to mid-sized companies are the softest target, the easiest to attack. They don't have this huge IT budget to buy all this, what we used to call next gen IT infrastructure of log scanning and all these other things, right? A small to mid-sized business may not have that infrastructure in place, which makes them an easier target, which I talk to business owners and I say, this is why you're an easier target. You don't have a $2 million a year, IT budget just for security. One thing that Patrick said that I want to talk about, and something Andrew and I have seen a lot recently, is 5 years ago, we called all these new technologies next gen that did all this really cool stuff that AV doesn't need databases to work. It learns on behavior. And there's all these cool things that have been coming out over the last few years. Well, for IronEdge, that stuff's current gen. That's stuff that we're working with right now. It's not next gen for us, so what you need to look at as there's all these more mature technologies to attend to viruses and attend to issues and to secure your environment. Well, what are y'all doing? Don't consider it sometime in the future. That's technology that should be in place now. And that's stuff that we're working with our clients to deploy.
Yeah, the thing that I think is important to remember is you need to start teaching, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, when it comes to being proactive and creating the right tools. The best way to defend yourself is to inform your staff that certain things might be amiss, as Dan had mentioned earlier, right? Like if you look at, in the movie, you got this slimy ghost that's kind of moving around in the hotel. If maybe you've never seen him before, or like at the beginning in the library, right, where you've got the library ghost, there's book stacking, right? Classic paranormal activity. Then you come across, like the which for a lot of people that watch this webinar, they're not going to know what a Dewey Decimal Card Index looks like. But in the movie, they have these drawers they slide out where they have the card index, and it's got slime all over it. Yeah. And they're like, oh, look, this, and he's like, here's your mucus, right? Like there's things that you find, right, when there are ghosts around. And if you don't know what you're looking for, it may just seem like something benign, or something goofy happened, or as Dan said, like my screen flickered, or I got this weird email from the boss, but I didn't think anything of it. Like those are the kinds of things that if you begin to educate folks, are going to be like, I think there's a ghost in that room. Like, let's go look at that. Let's go let's go figure out if this is like a thing. And then, at that point, you call an expert, because then they're going to show up with the PKE meter and they're like, yeah, no, we've checked the logs. There's definitely something going on in there. Like we need to be on top of that. Right. And we're going to handle it effectively and quickly. And sometimes, depending on the breach, like you may not necessarily go in and just catch the ghost. You might let the ghost do something. Right. I've heard of larger organizations where the FBI was like, yeah, we're watching them now. They don't know we're watching them. Mm-hmm. Let them fish around in there. Right. You're not going to know. Right. Unless you're prepared. Right. Unless you understand kind of what your procedure is in the event that you find out that something's going on and you're working with some experts, you have expertise on your team, where you're checking with your cybersecurity insurance policy carrier and be like, what is our procedure for this? Checking with your attorneys, checking with your IT staff, right? Having these processes in place. I know you're a 30-person company. That seems hard. Yeah, it is. But this is kind of like, we're at that point in the movie where Walter Peck shows up and he shuts down the containment unit and all the ghosts get out. That's basically the pandemic. Mm-hmm. That just happened. All the ghosts got out in 2020 and now they're everywhere and they're haunting indiscriminately. Like Dan had said, like, you don't have to be the hotel. You could be the hot dog stand guy. Yeah. Right. And then Slimer shows up and eats your hot dogs and you're like, I'm just a hot dog stand guy. Like there's no ghosts going to get me. Well, guess what? Ghosts are now out and about and they're everywhere. And you get to the point where, people don't really understand, what the next big threat is. They don't understand what's coming. And then, we need to look at what that is, right? Is it state actors, right? Is it China? Is it Russia? Right? Is it whatever? I think when we talk about what the next big ghost is, there's a lot on the horizon as technology changes.